I was trying to figure out a way to make the Tetra 24 more horrible, and I think I might have, but then I realized you can't. It's as bad as it's ever going to be. So what I did was I threw some 1.2 tires on it that sort of dwarf even scramblers. So they're stupid huge. It doesn't even fit. But now I gotta just pull the body off because I'm not keeping it anyway. But I'm gonna see how this does on the course with these massive tires. Alright. With these tires, I've basically created one of those Florida mud trucks. This thing is jacked up so high. It's now actually ridiculous, but that's what I'm here for. So let's find out how bad it is. Before, it couldn't do this step at all. Will it make it? Got that ESC just crunching away. By the way, this is farther than it has ever made it with stock tires. I've never been able to get that up on the step. Not once. Will it pull through? Oh, it actually is. That is a surprise. I've inadvertently made it better. Hilariously, it can't do that with stock tires. So by putting wheels on this that were a joke, it's actually better. That's funny. I want to try to put a different body on it and different ESC and see if I can't get this to actually be a good crawler. So as you know, one very important rule in modifying stuff is save all the pieces. These are the bumpers that had to come off because they were hitting the tires. Next I'm going to pull off a lot of other unnecessary stuff, and we'll get this thing down to a more reasonable weight. So far I've removed the battery, which weighs a ton. I've removed the rear body mount, which I won't be needing. And I've also removed the battery tray and ESC. So there's 70 grams right away that I won't be putting back on with this build because it's never going to be a Tetra 24 again. It's going to be something that I build myself. So I have an AE6 axial ESC and a battery. So that is half the weight of what I had on there before. So all that comes off the top, and I am still going to use the front two body mounts here, these magnet mounts, and I think I'm gonna go back to my roots with the first body that I modified with my SCX 24s, and it won't be the permanent body, but it's gonna start there and give me a place to work from. So I'll put a different body on it later, but it will still have the magnet mounts, and I would like it to still have lights, so I'm gonna work on that too. One thing I did was I shaved these mounts here with the Dremel tool just made them thinner on both sides. So a 2S battery can now fit in there, and it fits really well, and it actually drops to the point where it comes to rest on this natural curve here that's already there, and it's the same on both sides, and it holds that battery perfectly. One nice thing about it is even at full compression for the suspension, it won't get up into that place. And what I'll do is I'm going to put the battery backwards for now, but seeing as how that still clears and comes close, but well, it does just touch, but barely. I mean, you're not going to see that happen with full flex in either direction, only at full compression, which you'll never see on the trail. But anyway, what I'm going to do is build a mount for the front of the battery that will just tip it like that, but yet keep it out of the drive shaft. So it's going to be something very simple and lightweight. This is plastic from my Red Cat Gen 7, and I'm going to build the battery mounts out of that and just make sure it can squat fully and just clear that. That way it'll put the center of gravity of the battery way lower than the one it came with. And I don't know why they don't bother doing that at the factory, because that seems like an obvious thing to do. Get everything low, just make sure nothing hits at full compression and fab it up. It's not that hard. That is my new low CG battery mount, and it stays in fine without anything because of how I ground this. That's not going to come out even if I shake it. So $0 low CG battery mount, and it completely clears the suspension even at the unnatural thing of fully weighting the suspension until it bottoms. Nothing gets in the way of that, so that's beautiful. So the only thing left to do now is mount the ESC, and I'm thinking about doing it vertically, but I don't know yet. Something like that. I'd like to keep the sides of it way down. I could decase it, but I don't like doing that. I'll think about that a little more, but let's see. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna probably end up doing, something like that. I could just strap it to the top of the transmission with some tape or Velcro, but then it gets up where I don't want it to be. It still might be fine though. We'll see. And this is what I have come up with. Still has full flex. Nothing gets in the way of anything. I think even the sliders clear at full lock, believe it or not. So I guarantee this has a much lower center of gravity than it started off with. First of all, the tires I put on are super heavy, and they're full-size 1.2s. Second thing I've done is I've added magnet mounts to this body. This is one of the ones that I built when I first started doing SCX 24s about a little over a year ago, and it snaps on the front with that, and this rubber band I just took off holds the bottom down, and it works pretty good. Anyway, I literally 3M taped the ESC to the top of the transmission because there's really nowhere else to put it. I could put it back here over the battery and it would be fine, but this is a body that I actually made out of a flat piece of packaging material. So it's super lightweight, and remember the stock body, well, just a comparison of the bodies. I know the stock one is super heavy and unnecessarily so, but I don't know, maybe not. 56.5. This is mine that I made. 15.2. So I've dumped a massive amount of weight off the top of this thing. It has never had a center of gravity as good as this has it right now. And the only thing left to do is take it over to the course and see how it does. So another side benefit of these stupid huge tires is the rollout is a lot longer. So it actually has some speed with stock gearing now. Not bad. It's about what an SCX 24 is with stock everything on it. But I always like to start off every new challenge by trying to run the stairs. So let me get it lined up. If I can get it to turn. Might be a little steep for it. How about that? And what you're finding on this side is this slider is getting into the rock over there. So I think those are going to go away because I don't care about sliders. Just more weight gone where I don't need it, and one less thing to get caught up on the rocks. It could have made it through there if it wasn't for that. Alright, sliders are going away. Here's some more useless full information. The chassis, the frame rails actually, are symmetrical front to back. They have the same holes drilled in the same locations. It looks like you could probably flip the whole thing around and you would not know the difference. Also, these three screws here that you see are what hold the slider on. I'm not going to put the middle one back because looking at it, this center hole is much bigger than the other two, and there is only one. I mean, this is a weak point in the chassis. That's just one flat piece that goes across the top, one flat piece at the bottom, and the entire side is cut off of that. So this could literally fold in half if it didn't have that internal bracing. I'm just surprised to see that hole is so big. We can try to see if the other one's the same way on this side, but every time I work on this thing I find something new that's just bizarre. So let's see, let's find out. It'll only take a second to get these out. And I can already tell you it looks like it is the same. You can see the difference in the size of the holes. These ones on the end leave a little bit of structure because it has just a hint of this flat plane here, plus the top, plus the bottom. But this one is pretty opened up. I'm not sure why. Alright, the rock sliders are gone. Looks better already, I think. Probably will have more capability for those tight turns as well. Another thing it does better is it backs up with the turns. Before, when it would back up, it would lock up because that tire was hitting the slider itself. Look at that just creep up. Did okay until it hit the other rock. I'll get a better angle on it. I can kind of get up that if I gun it, but I don't want to do that. I want to crawl it. That's a first. This is a huge side hilling area, and I'm going to try to just creep it into a different angle and try to go over the top with it. I'm already starting to drop the nose. Unsuccessful. I've tried multiple times to get this thing to the top of the hill. So far, not been successful. That right rear was sticking on a rock. And finally made it. So sorry I missed the last part on video, but that's the first time it's ever made it up that hill. One of the things I think this truck needs is more flex in the back, and it has some. I don't want it to raise the suspension a whole lot when it climbs, so I'm only going to increase the travel on the right rear, and that way it won't get torque lift, or I call it torque rise or torque roll when it is at a steep angle. And I'm going to build something that I'm going to call a flex plate, maybe a flex wheel, and I'm going to use what's already there and show you how I'm going to make that have a lot more flex, basically droop on this wheel. I really don't have much on that as it sits. I'd say it's only about 4 millimeters of droop if I had to guess. Maybe I'll measure it just to make sure. If I do, I'll add it over the video here. In the next video, I'm going to flex a little bit. You're going to like this.